Black Waitress's son calls the Mafia boss to return his lost wallet. Unaware it was a test rain poured hard against the neon lights of a quiet downtown diner. Evelyn's Eatery. Inside, a young black teen named Malik Carter, 16, wiped down tables after closing. Headphones in, humming softly. The world outside didn't see him, just another kid from a forgotten street. Then, the doorbell chimed. A tall man in a dark suit stepped in, dripping wet. His eyes, cold and calculating, scanned the room. He left a black leather wallet on the counter while paying his bill. He didn't forget it. He placed it. Moments later, Malik found it. Inside, stacks of cash, a gold emblem, and an old photograph of a young black boy, bruised, scared, and bleeding. Malik hesitated. His mother's voice echoed in his head. Do right, even when the world does wrong. He picked up the phone and called the number inside. A deep voice answered. Who is this? Malik swallowed. Sir, I found your wallet. There was a long pause. Then, softly, good, I was hoping you would. What would you have done in this situation? Would you return it, or walk away? Comment below before the story unfolds. Malik Carter's world was small, but it was real. Every morning, before the sun rose, his alarm would buzz against the cracked wooden nightstand beside his bed. Their apartment was old, the kind of place where the floorboards creaked like a whispering ghost. But it was home. He shared this space with his mother, Evelyn Carter, a 41-year-old waitress who had spent most of her adult life serving plates to people who never bothered to look her in the eyes. Their apartment sat directly above the diner where Evelyn worked, a place that smelled of coffee, fried eggs, and dreams too small to leave town. Evelyn's routine was a quiet dance of resilience. She'd rise at 4:30 a.m., braid her hair neatly, hum old soul songs from her youth, and make breakfast for Malik, a single egg, toast, and a warm smile. She always told him, we may not have much, but we've got love. And that's a kind of wealth they can't steal. Malik admired her. Not because she was perfect, but because she refused to break, no matter how many storms hit. School was Malik's other world. He was a good student, quiet and smart, but he never fit in. He walked hallways lined with privilege and whispers, often feeling like he was standing on the outside of a glass wall, watching other kids live a life he'd never touch. He dreamed of becoming a journalist or a lawyer, someone who could shine a light on truths buried under power and lies. But dreams cost money, and money wasn't something the Carters had. Most days after school, he'd rush to help his mom at the diner. He'd wipe down tables, wash dishes, take orders, and listen. He listened to customers talk about their lives like his didn't exist. He saw businessmen throw down money without counting, saw people tip badly because of the color of his mother's skin, and Evelyn, she'd just smile, keep moving, and say, hate can't stick to kindness if you don't let it. But some nights, Malik heard her cry, softly, when she thought he was asleep. This particular night, after closing, as rain lashed against the glass and thunder hummed like distant anger, Malik found that wallet. A thick, expensive thing with a weight that wasn't just physical. It felt like it carried stories, secrets. When he brought it upstairs, Evelyn was sitting at their small kitchen table, counting bills with weary hands. Her apron was still stained from a long day. She looked up. What's that? Someone left it, Malik said, placing it on the table. Inside there's money, but also this. He handed her the folded note. She unfolded it with slow, careful fingers. The paper was old, yellowed, and smudged with dried blood. The words were short, but heavy. They said it was an accident. But I know the truth. Her hands trembled. Malik, where did you find this? He explained. Her face stiffened. For the first time that night, she wasn't just tired. She was afraid. I've seen this handwriting before, she whispered. Years ago, the night everything changed in this city. Malik didn't understand. What night? She didn't answer. Her eyes were far away, trapped in a memory she'd never shared. He wanted to call the police, but she shook her head. No, not them. Why not? Her voice cracked like porcelain. Because sometimes, the ones who are supposed to protect us are the ones who bury the truth. The rain outside grew heavier. Malik stared at the wallet. His heartbeat was a drum. Finally, he picked up the phone and dialed the number on the small card tucked inside. 1 ring. 2 rings. Then, the voice. Deep, rough, too calm. Who is this? This is Malik, he said, trying to sound braver than he felt. I found your wallet. A pause. Not silence. Something heavier. Good, the man said. I was hoping you would. Then the line went dead. Evelyn stared at him, her voice barely a whisper. Malik, do you know whose wallet that is? He shook his head. She closed her eyes. Vincent Moretti. The name landed like thunder. The Mafia boss. The man who controlled half the city's shadows. The man no one called without consequences. And now, Malik had called him. The next day, Malik stood at the bus stop before dawn, the city still wet from the storm. The wallet, now inside a plastic bag, felt like it was burning a hole through his backpack. He hadn't slept. Neither had Evelyn. She didn't try to stop him, but she hugged him longer than usual, as if time might not give her another chance. Vincent's men picked him up in a black sedan outside the diner. No words, just a nod. They drove through streets Malik had only seen from bus windows, mansions behind tall iron gates, roads too clean to belong to the same city. Then they stopped in front of it. Vincent Moretti's mansion, a fortress dressed like a house. Inside, everything was polished, cold, and expensive. Chandeliers glimmered like silent witnesses. Paintings of men in suits lined the hallway. Men who looked like they never had to apologize. Malik was led into a vast room with high ceilings and a long table. There sat Vincent Moretti, older now but still carrying the kind of weight that bent other people's spines. He didn't shout. He didn't threaten. He just looked. "You returned it," Vincent said, voice steady. Malik nodded, trying not to fidget. "Why?" Malik's answer came like a reflex. "Because it was the right thing to do." Vincent leaned back in his chair, a small smile creeping across his face. "That's rare these days." He poured a drink into a crystal glass. Soda for Malik, whiskey for himself, and stared into the dark amber like it held memories. "Do you know what honesty costs in this world, Malik?" Malik didn't answer. Vincent leaned forward. "Everything. It costs everything." Then he slid the photo across the table, the same photo Malik had seen inside the wallet. "You saw this, didn't you?" Malik nodded. "Do you know who that boy is?" Malik shook his head. Vincent's jaw tightened. His voice lowered. "That's my son, Luca." The air in the room thickened. He was 16. "Same age as you," Vincent said softly. He was smart, kind. He wanted to be a musician. He thought the world could be better than it is. Vincent paused, staring at the photo as if it might speak back. One night, 15 years ago, he was beaten to death by 3 men. 3 off-duty police officers. Malik's breath caught. They called it a robbery. The city called it gang violence. But I knew the truth. They killed him because of who he was. Because of what he looked like. He clenched his fist. And they buried it. The whole thing. Like it never happened. Vincent looked up, his eyes glistening with a rage too old to burn out. "I spent years looking for justice, but money can't buy what's already been bought," Malik whispered. "So you left the wallet. On purpose?" Vincent nodded slowly. "Every year, on the anniversary of his death, I go to that diner, the same one where it happened. I leave that wallet on purpose. I want to see if anyone with a pure heart still walks through that door." He let out a bitter laugh. "Most just pocket the money. Some turn it into the cops, but not you." Malik shifted in his chair. "Why me?" Vincent studied him carefully. "Because you remind me of him." Then his voice dropped. "I looked into you. Malik Carter. Your mother. Evelyn Carter." He stood slowly, walked to a cabinet, and pulled out an old newspaper. The headline was faded, but the words still screamed, "Teen found dead. Suspected gang activity." He handed it to Malik. "Your mother was there that night," Vincent said softly. "She's the one who called 911. She's the one who held Luca as he died." Malik felt like the ground shifted beneath him. "She never told me," he whispered. Vincent's voice broke for the first time. She was the only one who tried to save him, in a world where everyone else watched. Malik remembered, every year, his mom lighting a single candle by the window. She never said why, just whispered. "For someone I couldn't save." It was Luca. It had always been Luca. The silence stretched long, heavy. Then, a knock at the door. Vincent's men entered with a manila folder. "Boss, we found something." Inside were photos. 3 men, older now, living quiet lives. One name stood out. Officer Raymond Holt. Retired. Vincent stared at the photo. A storm gathered behind his eyes. He turned to Malik. "You believe in justice, kid?" Malik nodded slowly. Vincent exhaled. "Then help me finish what your mother started." The decision wasn't made with words. It was made in the silent weight of the truth. Night fell fast. Malik sat in the passenger seat of Vincent's car, his heart pounding like a war drum. Rain smeared the world outside into gray streaks. The house in front of them was quiet. Neat lawn, family photos in the windows, the kind of house that said, "I got away with it." Officer Raymond Holt's house. Vincent's hand hovered over the same wallet. The same photo. The same pain. He looked at Malik. I carried this hate for 15 years, he whispered. But tonight, it ends. One way or another, Malik swallowed hard. He didn't know what scared him more. The man beside him, or the ghosts they were about to wake up. Vincent pressed the wallet into Malik's hands. Show him. Make him remember. Malik's legs shook as he walked up the wet driveway. The porch light flicked on. The door opened. There he was, Raymond Holt, older now, wrinkles, gray hair. But his eyes, those were the same eyes that had watched a boy die. Yes? Malik held out the wallet. His voice was soft but steady. You dropped this once. 15 years ago, Holt's face drained of color. His hand trembled as he opened it. The photo fell out. The old note fluttered to the floor. He looked up at Malik, and behind him, Vincent stepped out of the shadows, rain soaking his suit. Holt stumbled back. Vincent. But Vincent didn't raise a gun. He didn't shout. He just stared at the man who stole his son's future. Malik spoke, voice cracking but firm. I don't want revenge. I want you to remember. Every night. Every breath. I want you to remember what you did. The officer's knees gave way. Tears, the kind no badge could hide, spilled down his cheeks. For 15 years, guilt had rotted him quietly. Now it was dragged into the open. Vincent stepped closer. His hand brushed the pistol inside his coat. Malik shook his head, just slightly. Vincent saw his son's face in the boy standing before him. He let the gun fall. The sound echoed like the past breaking apart. Luca wouldn't want this, Vincent whispered. And then, for the first time in 15 years, Vincent Moretti cried. The next morning, the city woke up to headlines that echoed through every street, every TV screen, every conversation. Retired officer confesses to hate crime cover-up in 2009 murder case. The note, the photo, the recorded conversation, Malik's quiet courage, Vincent's truth. Everything finally came together. For 15 years, Luca Moretti's name had been buried under lies. But now, it was everywhere. At Evelyn's eatery, the diner buzzed softly with morning customers. But in the corner booth, Evelyn sat alone, her hands trembling around a newspaper. Malik sat beside her. Mom, he said softly. She lifted her eyes, the same eyes that had once watched a boy die. You never told me, Malik whispered. Her lips trembled. I thought it was my pain to carry. I didn't want it to be yours too. He reached out, held her hand. You didn't carry it alone anymore. Outside, a sleek black car pulled up. Vincent Moretti stepped out. No entourage, no guards, just a man, stripped of everything but truth. He entered the diner quietly. For a moment, time seemed to hold its breath. I came to thank you, Vincent said softly, his voice almost breaking, for what you did that night, and for what your son did now. Evelyn stood slowly. The years of silence and pain stood between them like a ghost, but she stepped forward anyway. I tried to save him, she whispered. I'm sorry I couldn't. Vincent shook his head. You gave him something no one else did. A hand to hold when the world turned away. He placed an envelope on the counter. Inside, a scholarship fund in Malik's name. For the boy who returned what wasn't lost. For the heart I wish the world had more of. Evelyn's eyes filled with tears. Malik hugged her tightly. As Vincent walked away, Malik called out, Will you come back? Vincent paused. For years, he'd lived in shadows. Tonight, for the first time, he stepped toward the light. I think I already have, he said. Outside, the morning sun broke through the clouds. The storm had finally passed. Inside the diner, a framed photo of Luca and a small brass plaque hung near the register. Truth never dies. It just waits for someone brave enough to find it. They tested his honesty, but found his heart. One act of goodness, one moment of courage, can unearth the truth the world tried to forget. Watch our previous video for another powerful story. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Your support helps these stories reach the world.